Yo, what's up guys, it's me, Jake here, and today we're doing another Greatness Of. Now, the last one I made was the Chainsaw Man one. I'll leave a card up there. I did like that one, and I do think it was a good one. I did do a voiceover for it, which I kind of I was gonna do it for this video, but then I decided, I think this one would be better without a voiceover. So, I'm gonna be talking about the Greatness Of One Piece. Now, I'm surprised I haven't made a Greatness of One Piece yet, as it's tied for my favorite manga of all time. It is such a masterpiece, and it's so well written. And I'm surprised I never made one yet. I made one of Berserk, which is the series it's tied with. I made one for Twin Star. I made one for ReZero, JJK. I made one for Chainsaw Man. I made so many, but I didn't make one for One Piece yet, which kind of mind-boggled me because I felt like I was stupid for not making one, even though it's better than all those in my opinion. I even made one for Black Clover, which is my number 3, but this is tied at number 1. So yeah, so about that, let's just get straight into this Greatness Of. To start off, I'm going to be talking about the art. Now, the art over time does progressively keep getting better, but even as you look at the early on art for One Piece, it is still so good. It's definitely a very unique art style, as Oda draws characters like no one else. He really just has his own way of drawing everything, and his art style perfectly matches for Luffy because he has a really good way of drawing elongated things. Now, I think that's perfect for him, and I think that having Luffy as a main character really helped to that. Now, I'm trying to find a panel right now that can help kind of support my case, but can't really find one right now. Actually, I definitely know the panel. Give me 1 minute. Okay, I have found the panel. Now, I did use this in a video before, but here it is. He has a way of making like the background really work well with stretching things out, which really works for Luffy as a main character. And I think that Oda really does do this super well, and it really helps the whole entire story. As with Luffy as the main character, it just kind of meshes super well with it. And I think Oda definitely had the perfect choice with that. And also, not even that, just the backgrounds Oda puts. Even though you don't really talk about backgrounds much when you're talking about manga, his backgrounds, when he puts them, like, of course, like, during serious moments, you don't really put backgrounds, but when he actually has backgrounds, it's, like, super nicely done, and I really like how he makes his backgrounds, and everything he does about his art. Now, the pacing. That's another thing I need to talk about in here. I think the art is one of the greatest things about One Piece. It's so good. And the pacing in the manga is so much better than the anime. The anime is so just terribly paced because they do 1 chapter per episode. And basically imagine doing 1 chapter in 23 minutes. Like, you're basically doing a page per minute. Like, you can't really say that's good pacing in my opinion, but I will say the pacing in the manga is way better, and it's way more bingeable, and I think binging each arc in One Piece is one of the most enjoyable things that you can actually do. Even if the pacing at points isn't amazing, like in the beginning of Skypiea, not Jaya, the actual island of Skypiea, I think that's a little until they start getting to the fights, which the pacing starts ramping up and becomes better paced. I think that overall the pacing in One Piece isn't bad. I think some moments do slow down a bit, like Water 7 as well, but I think Water 7 was kind of slow and fast at the same time. It's kind of a weird mix with Water 7. That's why I really like it. It feels so unnatural, but it works super well. And I think that helps Water 7 a lot. And I think that overall, the pacing in One Piece is amazing. Usually is really good. Now there is moments, like I said, that is pretty meh, but I think usually Oda has a good chance. Oda does well with his pacing. Now, the story. This is probably the most well-crafted story I've seen ever, and I will give a little bit of a synopsis, even though even if you've watched this, you probably know the synopsis of One Piece. Our boy Luffy is trying to get a pirate crew so he can become the Pirate King by finding the One Piece. That's it. But that's such a simple, so simple synopsis, yet it has a lot of intricate things in it. His world building is super intricate. His foreshadowing is amazing. Now, I think Oda definitely had a lot of this planned, as I think around once time skip started, or even a little bit after that, he actually, there was a kid that had cancer and had to make a wish to know the ending of One Piece, and Oda explained, like, all the major arcs in post-time skip One Piece to him. And that just is insane. He spent hours explaining everything that happened, and I respect Oda a lot for that. That is one of the most wholesome stories I've ever heard, but he knew everything that was going to happen, and that's something that not many manga could do. They do usually plan ahead, but not when it's in this grand scheme. They don't usually plan that far ahead. Now, they usually do know around what their ending will be. Like, for Black Clover, it's probably gonna be like, oh, Wizard King Asta, yada yada yada. Like, Tabata definitely knows what he's doing in the end. Same with other stories. The mangakas usually know what they're doing in the end. Like My Hero, Horikoshi probably does as well. And JJK, Gege Akutame probably knows. But for One Piece, I thought he knew, but not everything in between. But Oda definitely does. And knowing that he knows everything in his story is just fantastic. He is one of the best story writers out there. And I think that's so insane that even after 20 years, he's still planning stuff for the story and still making twists and turns for One Piece that make it so, so good. So I think that that is such an immaculate thing to do for Oda. I think that that also pushes One Piece's story super far. Now, like I said earlier, I'm going to be talking about world building specifically now, because world building in this is the best world building ever. This is the best, like, in any story, this is the best world building. Now, if you don't believe me, then just read it. Like, if you have not yet read that far into One Piece, you just have to read it to really understand. Now, I think the world building really starts at Drum Island, and that starts with Chopper's backstory. Oda has a really good way of explaining a lot about the Navy, pirates, and all about the islands through backstories, and I think Chopper's really starts that. Now, you could also say Zoro's helps, and a lot of other backstories help before this, but I think Chopper's is the first hard-hitting one, and the first one that really helps the world get very much expanded, as you see how dark islands can get. And yes, you can really say that about Arlong Park as well, but I will say that I like Chopper's because of that, and also Baratie with Sanji's backstory. You can say that also is pretty dark. Another thing about One Piece's world building is when you look at the whole entire world scheme of things, it all started because of Roger. And that's something that's super amazing, is something in the past, before the story even started, had the effects that made One Piece even start. And how much in the past really affects them nowadays in One Piece is so, so unique. And also how they have the 100-year gap in history, and how Robin's trying to figure that out. It's all really mysterious, even though it's just a battle shonen. And I think that is one thing that also very much helps One Piece's case to be one of the best ever written. And also, it is the best sold, and I think it really very much deserves that, as it is probably one of the best stories and best worlds built of all time. Now that we're done with world building, let's talk about the characters, because dang, are these characters lovable. I love Luffy, I love Zoro, I love Sanji, I love Frankie, I love Jinbei, I love everyone. I love every single Straw Hat. Now, some I don't like as others, but I think that just comes with time. I think every single Straw Hat is amazing. Even Brook or Chopper or Frankie, I think they're all very much enjoyable. And I think that is kind of cast when he builds it together is something that's super fun. Now, I don't really say this often, but the Straw Hats are one of my favorite casts of all time, just like how the Black Bulls and even the post-Eclipse Berserk cast are all three of my favorite casts, and yes, they're my top three, but I think that they very much deserve it, because these casts are super enjoyable, super likable, and their characters within it are very in-depth and very much just super cool, and they all have their moments that make them very much unique and very much different. And I think that very much is known in One Piece, how different every character is and how different every single Straw Hat is to everyone, and how Luffy picks his crew. And I think that's very, very great, because Luffy doesn't just pick anyone for his crew. He has specific roles he wants to fill, and when he fills those roles, he fills it with the best possible candidate for those roles. I think that's super great, as Luffy definitely isn't the smartest protagonist, but he does build upon an amazing crew, and he does really have great friends within this crew, and just a great crew overall. And it's just so fun seeing Luffy pick these people to join his crew. And he doesn't want a huge crew, he wants a crew of around 10 people to do it all, because in the end you don't need a huge crew. You need a crew strong enough to really push through. And that's something that Luffy and even One Piece just really digs in, is not all big crews are better. Like, look at the Foxy Pirates in Long Ring Long Land. They weren't good, they just had a lot of people. That doesn't make them good. Just like how the Navy is a lot of people, but not all of the people are strong. It's not very useful having a lot of people at some points. And even later on the line when Haki is introduced, they just become completely irrelevant if they're not strong. So that's why just Luffy and how he builds this cast is so fun and so great, seeing how Luffy does it. So I definitely think that is another amazing aspect to this. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is kind of about the world, but I think it's something that I can talk about by itself for a little bit. The World Navy and the pirates and their parallels, and how both sides are good and both sides are very much bad, as both sides do good deeds and both sides do bad deeds. Mostly the Navy, with a lot of the stuff they do, is very corrupt and very bad, but at the same time, a lot of things that pirates do are very corrupt and very bad. But both sides also have their light sides, and that's why when you see Luffy as a pirate and the world government as his enemy, it's kind of great seeing that both sides are still bad and either side could really be right. And that's something that I love about One Piece, is you never know really what side is in the right and what side's in the wrong. Because there are good Navy soldiers like Kobe and Smoker, but there's also bad Navy soldiers like the admirals, like all that. Well, Io Kiji or whatever. He's a good admiral, but like when you really think about it, like Akaino, he's not a good guy. Like there are like people in the Navy that aren't good people, and I think that is really what helps One Piece with how its world is built, and how the antagonists are built. And I think that is an amazing factor inside of One Piece. I think that is one of the best things, is how they really go into dark themes like this, and also like the racism with the fishmen and a lot of other dark themes, which really helps One Piece not just solidify itself as a child manga, but something that is very deep and very dark at the same time, even though even a kid can enjoy it and not really understand these themes, which is something that not every manga can do, is add these very dark themes and very morally bad themes and still not be too dark and still be enjoyable to the younger audience, which is something I really think is super unique to One Piece, because not every single series can really do that. And I think that's the last point I really want to talk about, because One Piece has all these dark themes that it really goes through, and it doesn't really have to click for the younger audience to really be like, oh, this is still good, I really enjoy it. But when you read it and you're older, you notice these themes, and it makes the story expand so much more. I think that's one thing that really does help One Piece become what it is now. I think One Piece is overall one of the best mangas ever written, and I think it is very great. And everyone who doesn't really like it probably just doesn't like the anime because of the pacing, but that's fine. I'm not going to roast it. Enjoyment is subjective, I know, so I'm not going to roast you for not liking One Piece, but One Piece is definitely one of the best things written in my opinion, so yeah. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope I see you guys next time. Peace!